In the grand sweeping story of medieval Egypt, few figures stand as tall as Sultan al Nasir Muhammad. He was a man who ruled not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. His life was a dramatic tale of power, betrayal, and incredible resilience. Born in Cairo in 1285, he was the youngest son of the great Sultan Qalawun. His full name was Al-Malik al-Nasir Nasir al-Din Muhammad ibn Qalawun, a name that would echo through the ages. Upon the death of Sultan Qalawun in 1290, one of Qalawun's sons was put on the throne by the name of Al-Ashraf Khalil. Al-Nasir Muhammad was not destined for the throne initially, but fate had other, more complex plans for the young prince, setting him on a path that would define an era. His journey to becoming sultan was anything but straightforward. It was a path paved with intrigue and danger. After the assassination of his older brother, Sultan al-Ashraf Khalil, in 1293, the Mamluk emirs found themselves in a difficult position. They needed a ruler, but they feared the rise of another strongman who might challenge their own influence. Their solution was unconventional, but politically astute. They chose the 9-year-old al-Nasir Muhammad to be the new sultan. He was a convenient choice, a boy they believed they could easily control from behind the scenes, a puppet monarch for their own ambitions. This first reign was, as expected, a reign in name only. The real power was held by a council of senior emirs, most notably the regent Kitbuga and the vizier al-Shuja'i. These men were the true masters of Egypt, making all the crucial decisions of state. The young al-Nasir Muhammad was essentially a prisoner in his own palace, the magnificent Cairo citadel. He was a symbol of legitimacy, a descendant of the revered Sultan Qalawun, whose presence lent an air of stability to the turbulent Mamluk political landscape. But he was a sultan without any real authority, a pawn in a game played by men far older and more ruthless than he. This period was a harsh but invaluable education for the young boy. He watched, he listened, and he learned the brutal mechanics of Mamluk politics. He saw firsthand how loyalty could be bought and sold, how alliances shifted like the desert sands, and how power was the only currency that truly mattered. While Kitbuga and the other emirs vied for control, the boy sultan was absorbing lessons that would serve him well in the years to come. It was a difficult and often frightening childhood, but it forged a determination and a political cunning that would later astound his enemies and shape the destiny of the Mamluk Sultanate for decades. The boy sultan's first rule was destined to be short-lived. The powerful emirs who had placed him on the throne soon turned on each other. In 1294, the regent Kitbuga, sensing his own power was absolute, decided he no longer needed a puppet. He deposed the 10-year-old al-Nasir Muhammad and declared himself the new sultan. The young boy was sent into a quiet exile, removed from the political heart of Cairo. For the ambitious Mamluk lords, he was a problem solved, a minor detail in their relentless pursuit of power. They underestimated him, believing a child could never challenge their authority again. It was a mistake they would come to regret. Al-Nasir Muhammad was sent away to Karak, a formidable crusader castle in what is now Jordan. This period of exile was crucial for his development. He was no longer a sheltered boy in a palace but a young man learning to survive. He honed his skills, not just in horsemanship and martial arts but in diplomacy and strategy. He watched the shifting allegiances in Cairo from afar, biding his time and building his own network of loyal followers. While the Mamluk emirs fought amongst themselves, deposing Kitbuga and installing another sultan, Sultan al Nasir Muhammad was growing from a boy into a leader, his ambition hardening into a steely resolve. In 1299, the political situation in Cairo once again descended into chaos. Sultan Lachin was murdered, and the emirs, desperate for a figurehead to unite their fractured factions, remembered the young prince in Karak. They invited him back to reclaim his throne. At just 14 years old, al-Nasir Muhammad returned to Cairo as sultan for the second time. However, he soon discovered that little had changed. He was still surrounded by powerful emirs, Baybars al-Jashnakir and Salar, who held the real authority. They treated him with respect but allowed him no genuine power, once again reducing him to a ceremonial figurehead. Frustrated by his powerlessness, al-Nasir Muhammad made a bold and unexpected move in 1309. Announcing that he was going on the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, he instead traveled once more to Karak. From the safety of the fortress, he declared his abdication, leaving the emirs in Cairo stunned. Baybars al-Jashnakir seized the opportunity and declared himself sultan. This was precisely the move al-Nasir Muhammad had anticipated. He used his time in exile to rally support from provincial governors and loyalist emirs, presenting himself as the legitimate ruler wronged by a usurper. His strategic gamble was about to pay off in spectacular fashion. After a year of careful planning and alliance building from his base in Karak, al Nasir Muhammad marched on Cairo in 1310. His support was overwhelming. The usurper, Baybars al-Jashnakir, was quickly defeated and executed. At the age of 24, al Nasir Muhammad began his third and final reign. This time, there would be no regents, no powerful emirs pulling the strings. He was the absolute master of Egypt, and he would remain so for the next 31 years. This period is now remembered as the golden age of the Mamluk Sultanate, a time of unprecedented stability, prosperity, and cultural flourishing, all driven by the vision of one man. His first priority was to consolidate his power and reform the state. He systematically removed the powerful emirs who had once controlled him, replacing them with men whose loyalty was to him alone. He reorganized the land ownership system known as the Ikuta system, conducting a comprehensive cadastral survey of Egypt's agricultural lands. This reform, called the Rawq al-Nasiri, increased state revenues enormously, and broke the financial power of the old Mamluk aristocracy. This allowed him to fund his ambitious projects and ensure the army was paid directly by the state, securing their allegiance to the Sultan rather than to individual commanders. With the state's finances secure and his political rivals neutralized, al Nasir Muhammad embarked on a truly breathtaking building program. He transformed the face of Cairo, constructing mosques, madrasas, hospitals, and public fountains. His most famous project was the Mosque of al Nasir Muhammad in the Citadel, a stunning structure whose minarets unusually were decorated with green and blue faience tiles, a style imported from Persia. He also constructed a magnificent aqueduct to bring water from the Nile to the Citadel, a remarkable feat of medieval engineering that supplied the royal complex and its extensive gardens for centuries. His architectural patronage set a standard of elegance and grandeur. Beyond architecture and administration, the Sultan was a great patron of the arts and sciences. His court was a vibrant center of intellectual life, attracting scholars, historians, and physicians. Interestingly, he had a passion for animal husbandry, particularly the breeding of Arabian horses. He amassed a stable of thousands of elite horses, and records of their pedigrees were meticulously kept. He also established vast estates for the organized breeding of sheep and cattle, which not only supplied his court but also helped to stabilize food supplies for the general population. This incredible attention to detail was a hallmark of his long and prosperous reign. When al Nasir Muhammad died peacefully in his bed in 1341, he left behind a legacy that was as solid and enduring as the stone monuments he had built. His long, uninterrupted third reign had given Egypt and Syria a period of peace and stability that was rare in the turbulent medieval world. He had successfully defended his empire against threats from the Mongol Ilkhanate and forged diplomatic ties with powers as distant as the Pope in Avignon and the kings of France. He transformed the Mamluk Sultanate from a state run by a fractious military elite into a centralized monarchy under his absolute control, creating a model of governance that would last for generations. His impact on Cairo is perhaps his most visible legacy. The city he inherited was impressive, but the city he left behind was one of the world's great metropolises. His mosques and public works were not just symbols of power, they were functional parts of the urban fabric that served the people. The aqueduct he built continued to supply the citadel with water until the 19th century. The architectural style he championed, characterized by its refined elegance and intricate decoration, became the hallmark of the Bahri Mamluk period. Walking through the historic heart of Cairo today, you are walking through a city that was fundamentally shaped by his vision and ambition. His sons and grandsons would succeed him, but none possessed his political skill or strength of character. The stability he had so carefully constructed began to erode after his death, as his descendants proved unable to control the powerful Mamluk emirs he had so effectively suppressed. This decline, however, only serves to highlight the magnitude of his achievement. For over 3 decades he had single-handedly held the complex and often violent Mamluk system together through sheer force of will and political genius. An interesting fact for history fans is that his reign saw the last major Mongol invasion of Syria decisively repelled at the Battle of Marj al-Safar in 1303, securing the empire's borders for a century. In the final analysis, Sultan al Nasir Muhammad was more than just a ruler. He was the master architect of the Mamluk Sultanate's peak. He was a survivor who turned exile and humiliation into strength and wisdom. He found Egypt in the hands of squabbling warlords and left it a prosperous, centralized, and culturally brilliant empire. His story is a powerful reminder that even a pawn, A boy sultan placed on the throne for convenience can learn the rules of the game and emerge as its greatest player. His name is etched into the very stones of Cairo, a testament to a leader whose influence has truly stood the test of time.